This takedown was shown to be by a very, very good Brazilian black belt, and he used to catch me with it all the time. I asked him to show it to me, and once I learned it, I had quite a lot of success with it. I want to share it with you guys now. It's also the one I used in my Spirit of Jiu-Jitsu video that was shot in Thailand, and a lot of people messaged me saying they wanted to learn how to do it, so let's check it out. The first thing is it's a counter to when our opponent has a strong collar grip. Obviously we would like to try to break the grip if possible, but let's say that won't happen. His grip is too strong. Then I'm going to control at his wrist nice and tight. Now what I want to do is step to the outside of the same side leg that his arm is on, the one that's controlling. And as I do that, I'm going to pass my elbow over, almost as if I was elbowing him. As I do that, I'm going to duck under and place my knee on the ground. This is called a fireman's carry. Once I get here, I lock in tight to his body, holding tight. This is very important that I don't lose control of either his arm or his leg. I have to hold them really, really tight together. From here, I want to take him down, and I'm going to obviously take him to the same side as the arm I'm controlling, because he has nothing to put on the ground and base there. So the way I do that is to kick my leg out and sit onto my butt cheek. That naturally tips him over, and then from there, I turn to my knees and I've taken him down. This is a modified fireman's carry from when an opponent already has a grip. Very powerful and effective takedown. This next takedown is a really cool little move. The reason I appreciate it so much is because it doesn't require much athleticism, and again, you use it from a very commonly encountered scenario in stand-up, which is when your opponent has a grip on your collar. So let's have a look at how to use it. So my opponent has a grip on my collar. Now what I'm going to do is take my opposite hand and reach across and hold with a pocket grip on his sleeve nice and tight, and lock my elbow tight against my rib cage, put in a position of strength over there. Then with my free hand, I'm going to take a pincer grip and hold the back of his elbow. And now before I even consider the throw, I want to start to threaten with a wrist lock. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to drive my chest into his palm, and at the same time pull his elbow towards my body. As I do that, you might even get a wrist lock if you're lucky. If he's pretty slow, if his wrists are pretty inflexible, he might tap from that. It's unlikely, but it can happen. Stranger things have happened. Even if I don't get the wrist lock, the cool thing about this is it's going to lead in. He's going to release his grip, and that's going to allow me to lead into what's called a 2-on-1. So from here, I'm just going to shuffle and control his bicep. Now the important thing here is that I keep his arm completely glued to my body. There must be no space or no movement with his arm. It has to stay locked to my body. The reason for this is because where I go, I want him to go, and if there's any space between us, that won't happen. If I move, there's no movement with him. However, if I'm glued here to him, as I move, he's going to move, and the movement that I will make is I will push my chest forwards and squat down. Right, this already is starting to break Ollie's posture and balance, and it makes it easy for me to do the next part, which is just to keep shuffling behind him, and finally I'm going to pick his ankle to take him down. From there, I switch my hips and I control the side mount. That's a nice little takedown from collar grip into a 2-on-1, into a little foot sweep. Powerful move. Over the last couple of years, I've been showing two really powerful attacks from the back that have completely revolutionized the way I approach that position. I'm going to show you guys the first of them now. It's the double bow and arrow choke. So let's have a look. I have my opponent's back, and I will do this particular attack when I have the cross collar grip. That's all I really need. Once I have that, I know there's a high chance that I'm going to be successful with this. So with my second hand, what I want to do is reach across and take the grip on the other side, obviously making sure to keep this arm underneath his armpit. Once I have these two grips established, Old school way of choking someone would be just drive my hips forwards and slide my arms down. Sliding collar choke it's called. I don't find that choke very effective. It's very easy to defend and it's quite crude. So to make it a lot more powerful, we turn it into the double bow and arrow. And the way we're going to do that is you're going to fall onto the same side as your attacking hand. From here, I'm ready to finish. And the way I'm going to do it is by baiting my opponent. And what I want him to do is think he can escape. So I place my bottom leg on the ground. And usually he will take that bait and he will slide his hip over and put it on the floor. Now, this is where timing is very important. If I wait too long, a good guy is going to escape. So my timing is such that as he slides his hip over, I pull this arm so that I come up onto my elbow. That will naturally start to turn his body to make him face away from me. Once here, I place my chest right behind his shoulder, really tight behind his shoulder. And the reason for that is I don't want him to be able to put his shoulders on the mat. That's the classic escape that everyone uses. They put their shoulders on the mat and they try and pop their head out under my armpit. As long as I keep my chest tight against his chest, he's not going to be able to do that. From here, my free leg. The reason I freed it is so that I can adjust my angle. I'm going to slide up into my shin and place that shin right up against his body. Now I'm ready to transition all the way to the other side. And there's a little trick that I use to do this. I don't want to fall onto my back. That's going to cause a whole bunch of issues. He's going to be lying on top of me. It's going to be difficult to move. Instead, I'm going to sit onto one butt cheek, and as I do that, I'm going to lever my elbow up, the same side elbow that's controlling his head. What that does is sits him up. So now we're in a seated position. From here, I continue the movement to the opposite side by transitioning to the next butt cheek. So I went from my right butt cheek, and now I move on to my left butt cheek, and I fall onto my left shoulder. So that's the full transition from one side to the other. From here, I want to create an angle that's going to give me the power to finish the choke. And the way I'm going to do that is to take my free leg and step it right on his hip. Fits right there on the iliac crest. From there, I'm going to push down on his hip and snake myself away. What I'm looking to do is place his neck directly over my center of gravity, my belly button. Because now I can generate my power. I can transfer my power directly through my hips and my core right into his neck. The final little detail from there is to take my free leg, the one that was stepping on his hip, and I pass it over and cross my ankles. From there, the mechanic of the choke is completely different to usual. Instead of tugging with my arms and trying to pull across his neck, all I need to do is just drive my hips forwards, and the power is translated directly into his neck. He will tap very quickly. And that is the double bow and arrow choke from the back. Very, very effective. The move that I'm about to show you guys now is my very, very favorite finish from the back mount position. Up until a couple of years ago, I used to struggle to finish people from the back because as the general level of Jiu-Jitsu raised, I started to notice that people became very, very good at protecting their neck, so it was quite difficult to get different finishes to work. Once I found this particular technique, that all changed. It's very, very powerful, and I've been catching many people that it forms the foundation of my attack sequence from the back, and I want to share it with you guys now. So let's have a look. We know that when we're attacking the back, if we can get one dominant cross-collar grip, that we have a very high likelihood of finishing our opponent. In fact, on this video program, I even showed you guys a very good finish from there, the double bow and arrow choke. We also have the regular bow and arrow, which is very, very powerful. So finishing the person from here is not a problem when you have this grip. The issue is that most people will defend like crazy to stop you from getting this grip. There are certain methods of hand fighting and options to thwart that, but no matter what, it's going to be a very, very big fight to get this grip. So the way we can deal with that is, instead of focusing so much on getting this grip, we can start to use this hand for our setup. Very often when we're attacking here, he's so focused and intent on stopping that hand from getting a grip, he doesn't notice what my opposite hand is doing. And I'm going to use that. I'm going to take the hand that's under the armpit and I'm going to reach it across and grab right on his shoulder. As deep as I can, I want to hook. If possible, you want to hook your fingers in that behind his shoulder blade over there. Then, if you just leave your hand there for too long, he will just reach back and peel it off. So I want to reinforce it, and I use my free hand to do so. I place it on top of my hand, and I lock it in. Now, there's no way he's going to take the hand off. It's locked in there, no matter what. And from here, I'm going to fall onto the same side as the shoulder that I'm holding. So I will just fall onto my side. So from here, once I have my opponent on that side, I'm going to bait him into thinking that he can escape again. This way, this time I'm going to take my top leg and circle it over and hook it behind his knee. Once it's behind his knee, I let him think he's going to escape by placing this foot on the ground. He will naturally start to snake his hips over, and what I do is I just kick to assist. As I've kicked him off, I switch my hips to come up to my knees. From here, I'm ready to attack. So the way I'm going to get this attack to work really well is to get this arm far through. The deeper I get it through, the more powerful this attack is going to be. And the way to get it through nice and deep is I'm going to pull and look where I want it to go. And that reaches my arm very far through. Once I've done that, I'm looking to have this bone here at the base of my thumb right up against his carotid artery, against the soft part of the side of his neck. Once I have that, I will set the Ezekiel grip. So I'll take the 4 fingers deep inside my sleeve, keeping my wrist straight, and I will look to get this bone across underneath his jaw on his neck. This technique is so powerful though that even if you don't get that in, so very often the guy will defend, he'll tuck his head in, you can just hold his shoulder. As long as this bottom bone is on the artery over there, it's going to work. But obviously better to have this one in. Once I've set my grips, before I even move here, I attempt to finish with the Ezekiel. So I might straighten my arm, see if I can make him tap. Sometimes you can, depending on his willpower, the strength of his neck. But most often, you're going to have to adjust your position to get more leverage. And the way we're going to adjust our position is this. I'm going to fold my weight onto my shin closest to his head and sit on it. Then I will pass my free leg over, place it on the floor and pull it in up against his hip, just as if I'm in a technical mount. And now I'm going to sit him up. So what I definitely don't want to do is fall backwards. I'm just going to sit to bring him up. Again, I move from one butt cheek onto the other butt cheek to make this leg light. And then I pass it over and cross my feet. From here, the Ezekiel is on really, really strong. All I need to do is squeeze a little bit, and he's going to tap real quick. That's the A variation of setting up the Ezekiel from the back mount. Very, very effective attack. This is currently my favorite way of passing the guard. I call it the bootlace pass, and it was developed by my close friend Kevin Capel, who is someone I consider to be one of the very best black belts in the world, one of the most technical. He's used this guard pass many times against people much bigger and much stronger than him, and I've used it myself quite often, and I find it very effective. So let's have a look at how we can use it. My personal setup for it is when I feel my opponent is, I'm standing and I feel he's starting to look for that De La Hiba hook. The second he starts to insert that hook, I dive my knee to the floor to neutralize that hook. And then what I'm going to do is, he will feel a lot of pain here because my shin is on his shin, and he will naturally pull his foot out or start to pull his leg out and squaring up for the butterfly guard. And as he does that, I catch underneath his leg. That's the very first thing. So I'm sitting on his ankle, his leg between mine, and I have one arm around that same side leg. Now what I'm looking to do is grab the bottom part of the trousers of the opposite leg like that. That's the first thing I'm looking to do. What I've started to notice is, as I become better and better at this pass, very often my training partners now know that that's what I want to do, and they start to keep that leg away. If they do that, I just continue moving this way. I grab this leg here and I drive down and I pivot to pass the guard that way. So usually what will happen is I'm here, that leg will be in range, I'll grab it, hand it off and take the grip. And then I want to sit on top of that one as well. So I'm in this position where I'm sitting on both of his ankles. And keep in mind, you could start this pass right from here anyway. If you manage to sit on both of his ankles, maybe in a butterfly with his back on the floor, you could go straight into here, take the grip. And the next grip I'm looking for is, again, underneath the leg and the same side grip, or the same grip on the opposite side, opposite trouser. Now the reason I call this the bootlace pass is because what I'm doing is I imagine that his legs are like the two parts of a boot that I want to lace together. And the way I'm going to lace them together is by pushing my chest backwards and driving my elbows together. You'll notice what that's done is it's pinned Ollie's legs together. It's almost always the case in Jiu-Jitsu that if you can pin someone's knees together, he has very little to fight with from there. It's very, very difficult for him to attack from there. What you guys need to be aware of when you're doing this particular pass is that he can still sit up and attack you with chokes on your neck, like loop chokes. As long as you keep your chin in, it's very difficult for him to do that. So just be aware of that. If you're aware of it, it's almost impossible for him to catch you with those. Once I've loaded up like this by leaning back and pinned his knees together, I'm going to slingshot myself over his knees. So literally dive over his knees and place my shoulder on his hips and my head on the opposite side. From here, I have to really commit to this technique. If I let go of these grips and put one hand on the floor, he will pummel under and cause a whole bunch of grief for me and might start sweeping me over. So you have to really commit, no matter how vulnerable you feel, as long as you keep his knees together and these grips engaged, no matter how bad it gets, even if he flips me over with a cross face, it doesn't matter. If I keep his knees together, I can just snake out and come back. So from here, all I'm going to do is drive my shoulder and walk around, and once I've cleared his hips, this hand, the one closest to his head, releases, slides up along the length of the lapel, and I get control of his head, take my hands together palm to palm, and I've passed his guard in a very methodical and powerful way. I highly recommend you practice this technique. This is a really sneaky little technique that I've used to great effect when I'm fighting from a footlock position. I'm attacking my opponent with a footlock, and for whatever reason I don't feel confident that footlock is going to come on. I use this little technique to continue into a guard pass. Let's have a look at how it works. So to get this to work properly, we'd be in the footlock position. It's important for this particular move to have your inside leg underneath him as opposed to on top. There are different ways to do the straight footlock. Some people do it like this. It won't work from this position. You will need this leg underneath and this one on top. So let's say I'm attacking with the footlock. For whatever reason I feel it's not going to work, or he won't let me fall, he's staying squared up. For whatever reason, I just decide to abandon the footlock and go into this next move. So the first thing I'm going to do is pinch my knees together super tight to control his leg. I need to maintain this foot behind his hamstring, holding tight, this foot stepping on him tight over here to keep him from moving and sitting up, and my knees squeezing tight to keep his knee in position. Once I've done that, I need to release his ankle, so I'm going to reach back and free it so it's totally free. Then I want to bring his leg from this side of my body to the complete opposite side. And the way I'm going to do that is just to fall to my back and bridge up. As I bridge, it will naturally just fall onto that side. So from here, I want to sit up, but before I do, my opposite hand to his leg, the one that I'm attacking, is going to reach up and grab his kneecap. Very important there, I literally hold on to his kneecap. Now I need to sit up, but my leg is stopping me now, so I kick it back into this shin box position. From here, I want to swallow his knee with my armpit here. That's when I know I've gone far enough. As soon as I've swallowed his knee, now I'm ready to finish with the pass. My main objective now is to put my opponent's back flat on the floor. The cool thing is it looks like we're in an even position, but we're not, because no matter what, I'm going to win this exchange. His leg stops him from getting up, and my leg is out the way, which means I can come up, put his back flat on the floor, and have successfully passed his guard. It's a very, very sneaky little attack. Chains really nicely with the straight foot lock. One of the most satisfying moves, in my opinion, is the collar drag, and I've had a lot of success using this particular entry into it to not only use the collar drag to get your opponent to the mat when they're standing to pass your open guard, but also to take their back. So let's go over the details now. The first thing, I will use this particular collar drag from a seated guard, but not in the traditional sense. I'm not going to be sitting like this with my legs on the floor as if I was fighting in a butterfly guard or a regular seated guard position. Instead, I'm going to be a lot more dynamic with it. I'm going to have my hands behind me on the floor for base, and I'm going to keep my feet up, almost baiting him. When he knows to pass, he's going to need to reach for something. So as he reaches to grab either my ankle or at my trousers, he's going to give me the opportunity to grab at his collar. Right, I'm going to make sure I keep my feet on one of his knees at least to stop him from jumping into a triangle. And once I have this collar engaged, I'm ready to do the collar drag. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to place both feet on the ground so that I have one on the inside and one on the outside. The second my feet hit the ground, this basing hand is going to pull my hips to the outside. And as I do that, simultaneously, I pull my elbow in towards my hip here, not towards the floor, or not out towards the floor, in towards my hip. So as I do that, hip screwed out, I pull my elbow in, and he hits the floor. If my feet were positioned correctly, I already have the hook, or one of the hooks. Now to sit up and take the back, straight away I want to